The Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase has come and gone, and we have a couple questions we need to answer right now. Did Xbox change the perception around the platform? And was this the best Xbox show in quite some time? And you know what? The answer to those questions are a resounding yes. There's a lot here to talk about, so let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? It's Randall419, the man with the million, back again with another video. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day, and I know Xbox fans are, because Xbox had one of their best press conferences since probably the 360 era. Everybody seems to be incredibly impressed with what Xbox showed off. But before I get ahead of myself, can you guys do me a big favor and hit that like and subscribe button? And if you want to be notified every single time I drop a new video, make sure you hit that notification bell. Thank you guys so much for all the support and for checking out today's video. A lot of people had high expectations for this year's Xbox and Bethesda showing. They wanted to see what Bethesda was bringing to the table. They wanted to know if highly anticipated titles from Bethesda, like Starfield, were actually going to be exclusive, or would they show up on the PlayStation? People wanted to see gameplay this time instead of CGI trailers that Microsoft showed off when announcing games like Fable and Avowed from last year, and they wanted to know when they'll be able to play some of these games, so they wanted release dates. And I think Xbox pretty much nailed this presentation from start to finish, and I only have a couple complaints, but I'm gonna say right off the bat, right here, right now, even though I streamed this live and you can go check my live reaction, I rewatched the entire thing in 4K, and it was absolutely incredible. Make sure you guys go check out Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5 in 4K instead of on a pixelated stream, because the difference is ridiculous. So my initial reaction after watching the stream with everybody yesterday was that I felt it was an 8, almost an 8.5, but after I got done rewatching it in 4K, my appreciation from the show actually rose. So I'm gonna say the show for me was a solid 8.5, almost a 9. Xbox was so close to delivering a 9 out of 10, and even though they didn't hit that 9 mark for me personally, I went back and skimmed through all of Xbox's E3 presentations of the Xbox One generation, and I can confidently say to you right now that the showing that Microsoft put on yesterday was the best E3 showcase they have done since the 360 generation. And if you aren't excited for what Xbox is doing with Game Pass, with Bethesda and their own studios, and if you don't see the writing on the wall, if you don't see how exciting the future of Xbox is, then you probably never will. So I'm going to go over each of the things shown off during this presentation, and at the end, I'm going to tell you guys why I didn't give it a 9. I think some of you might know, but anyways, let's get into it because there's a lot here to unpack. So it started off just like I had predicted. Starfield. Todd Howard comes out on stage first, and you know you're in for something special with Bethesda. They give an in-game teaser, the first one for Starfield. It looks really good. Still don't know what really that game's about, but we got more information from Todd Howard later, how it's hard sci-fi, there's alien races. It's basically going to be like Skyrim in space, and that's very exciting to me. When I saw that mech board the ship, I started to get really excited. The music, the voiceover, and we got the release date. 11/11/22, 11 years after the release of Skyrim, so I can sort of see why, even though it's a year and a half from release, why they decided to date it. I felt this was an effective opener for a couple of reasons. One, it's always good to have Todd Howard out there talking about video games. 2, Starfield is highly anticipated, and everybody was tuning in to see what that game is, and even though it's a year and a half away, people are really pumped about it. And 3, Microsoft could heavily lean into the whole Xbox exclusive thing. It was in the marketing material right after the announcement of the release date, and then Sarah Bond came on stage and says, yes, it's exclusive. Of course, the Bethesda games are going to be exclusive to Xbox. Duh, we've been saying it since the acquisition back in September. Phil Spencer tried to say it as nicely as possible back in March, but for all you doubters out there, and even today, I see some people saying, well, maybe it's timed exclusive. No, these Bethesda games will only be on Xbox. Get over it. And then we had what I would call the most impressive demo of the entire show, a demo that sold me on the game so much that I am now looking forward to playing it on April 28th of next year, and that is for Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. Now, I don't know much about the Stalker games. I didn't play Stalker 1, so I wasn't that interested in the title to begin with, but that gameplay trailer really sold me. The combat, the Metro-inspired stuff, and of course, Stalker-inspired Metro, not the other way around, but I just played Metro first. So after watching that demo, I'm 100% in. I want to play Stalker 2, and that's what a good kind of gameplay demo, or at least showing short segments of gameplay, can do for you, because now I am anticipating Stalker 2. And one of the absolute best things about this showcase is that Xbox showed off 30 games, and the pacing was incredible. There was no talking heads, no celebrities, no musical interludes. It was just Todd Howard for a couple minutes, Sarah Bond for a couple minutes, Pete Hines for a couple minutes, and Phil Spencer closing the show. The rest of it was just wall-to-wall games, and there wasn't any real down moment. It was just high point after high point, and 27 of the 30 games were hitting Game Pass on day one. So Starfield and Stalker 2 coming Game Pass on day one. This was Game Pass's kind of coming out moment. I've seen so many articles, so many people talking about how Game Pass is going to change the industry, how Game Pass is saving you money. Look at these 30 games that Microsoft showed off and realize that you won't have to pay for 27 of them outside of a monthly subscription for $10. The value here is absolutely ridiculous and insane, and you love to see it. Speaking of Game Pass, the next game that was shown off was the AAA Back 4 Blood from the creators of Left 4 Dead. It's launching on October 12th, and it's going into Game Pass on day one, and it looks like a lot of fun. Then we got the reveal of Project Typhoon, and it's called Contraband, and it's being developed in partnership with Avalanche Studios. Not much here. Would have liked to seen a little bit more, but we know it's a co-op open world game that features heist and smuggling and vehicle action. Can't wait to see what that game actually looks like. We didn't get a release date, so I'm assuming that that game is coming sometime in 2023. Then we got a Sea of Thieves, Pirates of the Caribbean crossover. And you know what? I'm not the biggest fan of Sea of Thieves. I know it has its fans. Over 20 million people have played that game. But that trailer at least sold the idea to me of going and playing through this campaign because it looked very high quality. So we have Davy Jones and Jack Sparrow invading the world of Sea of Thieves. After that, we got the announcement that Yakuza Like a Dragon was joining Game Pass, so you can play every single one of the Yakuza games from Yakuza 0 to the latest Yakuza Like a Dragon in Game Pass. We got the Battlefield 2042 gameplay, and it really impressed me. The scale of what is going on in Battlefield 2042 is ridiculous, with the tornadoes, with the gameplay going on top of skyscrapers. I cannot wait to play that game, and yes, I know there's no single player, but it doesn't really matter to me because I play Battlefield for the multiplayer, and that looks like an incredible time with friends. My only real issue with the game is there's not a battle royale at launch, but I am super excited to play Battlefield 2042 when it comes out on October 22nd. Unfortunately, at least for right now, it is not hitting Xbox Game Pass. That was one of the 3 games that wasn't coming to Game Pass on day one. We finally got the announcement of a release date for 12 Minutes, a game where you're stuck in a time loop, and it's coming on August 19th. I couldn't be more excited to finally play this game. Psychonauts 2 is also coming in August. On August 25th, man, August is absolutely packed, and Psychonauts 2 looks like it's going to be really good as well. We had Pete Hines come out and talk about more Bethesda games hitting Game Pass like Doom 2016, The Evil Within 2, and more. Doom Eternal's getting its next-gen upgrade at the end of this month, which is great. More Fallout 76 expansions like The Pit coming in 2022, and they talked a little bit about Elder Scrolls Online. Then we had a Gang Beasts-like party game, definitely aimed at kids, called Party Animals coming next year, and one of the best announcements of the show for me personally was Hades finally hitting Xbox, coming on Game Pass on day one, August 13th. Like I mentioned, August is absolutely packed. I've been wanting to play this game for quite some time, and I'm really excited to finally be able to play it on Xbox. Then we got another indie title that I'm super interested in called Somerville, because it's from one of the co-founders of Playdead, who's made some of my favorite games of last generation, like Inside and Limbo. Really looking forward to Somerville. And then we got to Halo, and it was the middle of the show, and I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, Starfield open, Halo's in the middle, what are they going to close with? And I thought the Halo presentation was really good. We had a brief story cutscene with Master Chief meeting his new AI companion, and when the music started to swell, I honestly got chills. You guys know Halo is my favorite franchise in all of gaming. Then we got the reveal of multiplayer, and it looks so damn good. I never doubted that 343 couldn't make a great Halo multiplayer game, because they did with 5, so I never was concerned with Halo Infinite's multiplayer. My concern was around the single player, and hopefully they nailed it out of the park. It definitely looks a lot better than it did when they showed it last year. My God, I am starting to get really excited for Halo Infinite. The only drawback is still no release date. They're saying holiday 2021, and that's kind of weird considering they already have dated Starfield for November 11th of next year. So Halo, still holiday. I don't know when it's going to come out. Maybe it's September and they're trying to make that date, but they're not sure they can. And if it needs to be delayed, they can internally delay it to November, but not announce it publicly, sort of thing. Or maybe it's scheduled for end of November and they're not sure they can make it and it'll be December. Or maybe they just don't want to pigeonhole themselves into a date they're not sure they can make yet. But I do feel confident that Halo is going to release this year. Then we had a trailer for Diablo 2 coming out in September with some 8-player co-op. A surprise reveal for the sequel to A Plague's Tale called A Plague Tale Requiem. I love Plague Tale 1. Make sure you guys go out and play it. It's in Game Pass. And the sequel, even though it's coming out next year, we already know it's going to be hitting Game Pass on day one. This was like a Game Pass coming out party. Microsoft was like, here's all of our first party games. You know they're hitting on Game Pass. We got like one coming out every single month till the end of the year. And then we got some big AAA titles like Back 4 Blood hitting the service and some real cool indies. I think people are starting to notice how Game Pass is starting to change some of the perception around Xbox as a platform. We got yet another trailer for Far Cry 6. There's been like 4 of these trailers already. It feels like I've already played most of Far Cry 6. Slime Rancher 2 was announced. I know this was a big hit on Game Pass, and I have some hardcore friends of mine who adore Slime Rancher 1, so that was a big announcement for them. We have Shredders coming in December, and it's a snowboarding game, although it's not super fast like SSX, so I'll have to wait and see if I'll enjoy that game. Atomic Heart was probably the weirdest tonally trailer of the whole show and went from crazy to crazy to crazy. I didn't know what to really think about it. Now, the game that probably stood out to me the most simply because of its art style was Replaced. It reminded me a lot of The Last Night. It's this beautiful pixel art, sort of cyberpunk setting that really got me watching and thinking to myself, that looks like art. I cannot wait to play Replaced when it releases in 2022. We got an update for Grounded with the Shroom and Doom update, which is coming out at the end of the month. Among Us is finally hitting Xbox, and the newest update for the game introduces 15-player lobbies with 3 imposters. I played this game a lot back when it kind of got popular, but I can't really see myself going back and playing it. They also talked about Euden Chronicles, which is like a JRPG hitting Xbox in 2022 and 2023. Unfortunately, this was probably one of those titles where I saw it and I completely lost interest. This would be the lowest point for me of the show. So out of all these games I've talked about, this was the only one that didn't interest me. I am interested in pretty much virtually every other single game that Microsoft showed, and that's how you know it's a damn good press conference. They showed a brief snippet of The Ascent launching on Game Pass on July 29th. Can't wait to check that game out. Age of Empires is releasing finally on October 28th, although it's not going to be on Xbox. It's PC only, which is a little bit disappointing, but I'm not the biggest fan of Age of Empires anyways. I probably would check it out if it was on Xbox, so maybe it does hit the console next year sometime. Then we got another trailer from Obsidian, but it wasn't for Avowed. It was for The Outer Worlds 2, where they basically made fun of themselves because nothing of the game is done. They don't have the main characters sketched out, they don't have any gameplay, they don't even have the story. They just wanted to let everybody who's a fan of the Outer Worlds know that, hey, we got you, the sequel's coming, it's gonna be bigger and better than ever. And it was probably one of the funniest trailers I've seen in quite some time. We got the announcement that Microsoft Flight Simulator is landing on Xbox Series X and S on July 27th with a Top Gun crossover with jets. That does look pretty damn interesting. We got a Forza Horizon 5 announcement in Mexico launching on November 9th. My lord, if you guys go check out that video in 4K, it looks absolutely phenomenal. Looks like one of the best video games I've ever seen. And then we have Phil Spencer come out to recap the show, talk about how the gamer is at the center of everything Xbox does. And he did a really good job recapping what they talked about and making sure to tell everybody that, yes, even though we only showed Starfield this year, we still have Avowed, Fable, and all these other games that we announced last year. Halo Infinite on the shooter side, and still Perfect Dark that we haven't shown anything about. So you have all these brand new games that Microsoft debuted this year, and they didn't show anything from all the games that they showed last year. There's so many games coming to Xbox, and Phil ended it with another brand new game coming from Arcane Austin called Redfall. It's the Project Omen game with vampires, but it wasn't exactly what I was expecting it to be. I thought we would be playing as vampires, but no, we're hunting vampires. They say it's a co-op immersive shooter, and I'm not really sure if it's a Left 4 Dead style game, but it doesn't really matter because Arcane can do nothing wrong in my opinion. So that was their hour-and-a-half show. In my opinion, it was the best Xbox showcase since the 360 generation. It seems like everything is firing in all cylinders, from the Xbox hardware to Game Pass to the studios. You take a look at all the new games announced here, combine them with all the new games announced last year, and you start to realize that, damn, Xbox has so many games, and we've come a long way from a couple years ago when the meme was Xbox has no games to now, man, can you please give us your games, Xbox? Because Starfield and Redfall are exclusive, and people still think there's a chance that some of those games from Bethesda might hit PlayStation. It goes to show you just how much they want those games. I think this Xbox showcase was a complete success and a big triumph for everybody at Xbox, and the only reason I can't really give it a 9 or higher, even though a lot of people will say it deserves it, and if you go look at Jeff Keighley's poll, like 50% of the people who voted, over 50,000, say that it deserved an A, which is really impressive and goes to show you that a lot of people thought that this show was really good. And I can already start to see the perception around Xbox as a brand start to shift. It's really exciting to see. But the reason I can't give the show a higher score is because I just needed more from either Starfield or Redfall or Contraband, right? And if I had gotten just a little more from each one of those games, then it definitely would have been a 9, probably maybe even a 10 if they had something else that was truly a surprise. But for right now, it was an 8.5. I recommend watching it in 4K to get the full effect. It was the best show that Microsoft has put on since the 360 era. And if you're not excited about what Xbox is doing this generation between their hardware and their services like Game Pass and what their studios are working on, then I don't think you ever will be. It's a truly exciting time to be an Xbox gamer. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you thought of the Xbox Bethesda Showcase in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell if you want to be notified immediately whenever I drop a new video like this. Make sure you share this out on social media or tell a friend about the channel. If you want to take your support even further, you can always hit the join button where you will get access to channel badges and emotes for the Xbox 2 podcast we do every single week with Jez Corden from Windows Central. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Later, guys.